aspects of aging, such as living arrangements, as well as physical and mental well-being. At the same time, we hope to invite our participants today to envision how we can make aging an empowering experience for the future, as well as maybe even for ourselves. First up, before we begin, let me go through some admin messages from our organizers. Firstly, we encourage you to put on your headphones or earpiece to enjoy better audio quality. Secondly, for our Zoom participants, you may pose your questions to the panelists by clicking on the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. A pop-up window will appear. Simply type your questions and click the send button. For those watching us live on Facebook, you may type your comments or questions in the Facebook chat box. Our moderator and panelists will address these questions during the Q&A session at the end. Thirdly, do take note that the session today is recorded and is being live streamed on the Public Library Singapore Facebook page. Last, but definitely not the least, do have your coffee cup at hand and your pens and paper ready, because I'm sure we will gain many incredible insights at today's symposium. Here's the program itinerary for this morning. To formally open today's inaugural symposium, we have invited 3 guests who will deliver their opening remarks. They are Professor Chong Hee Kiat, President of the Singapore University of Social Sciences, Mr. Ng Chee Pong, Chief Executive Officer of the National Library Board, and Ms. Koh Huai Lin, Chairperson of the SUSS Gerontology Students and Alumni Committee. We will then have the panel discussion on the future of aged care, led by Associate Professor Carol Ma, who is also the head of the Gerontology program at the S.R. Nathan School of Human Development at SUSS. This will be followed by a 10 minutes Q&A session before we wrap up the program for this morning. So without further ado, may I now invite SUSS President Professor Chong to deliver the first opening remarks. Professor Chong, please.
Thank you. Morning all. Let me welcome all of you to our event, EnvisAGE 2021, Envisioning Meaningful Aging Together. This event is also part of the 10th anniversary celebration of the Gerontology program of the Singapore University of Social Sciences, or SUSS. Thank you to the National Library Board, NLB, for co-hosting this event with us. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Ng Chee Pong, CEO of NLB, and his colleagues. SUSS has the vision and commitment to serve the community through its twofold purpose of inspiring lifelong learning and transforming society through applied social sciences. We aspire to be the leading university for social good. And so we embarked on our journey to build up capability and education programs and activities in gerontology. And there are several reasons for this endeavor, apart from the fact that our population is aging fast, and by 2030, 20% of our residents will be aged 65 and over. And that's more than 900,000 seniors. Let me name 3 other reasons why we have done this journey on gerontology. First, we want to enable people to age well. Growing old is natural, but is it just that? And I use the word old, a word which some wish to avoid mentioning. But to me, and as I am getting there also, being old is a blessing. Living long lives and filled with wisdom and experience of life. And one can still be useful. So we hope that even as age catches up with us, the elderly can be well cared for, can continue to enjoy their years, and find many interesting things still to do and to enjoy in life. Secondly, when we started our program 10 years ago, the looming aging problem was less evident, and there was little attention paid to serving the aged. There was no university focusing its sight on gerontology. But we recognized the need and felt that we could contribute our effort in this area. Thus, our gerontology program was born. And thirdly, SUSS interest is in the end-to-end life journey of the individual, the aged being at one end. So we also have early childhood education at the other end, and university education, career development, career advancement, continuing education and training, and lifelong learning opportunities in between the two ends. Add to this social work, counseling, human resource management, which we do, and you will see the emphasis we have placed on human and social development and well-being. I would like to commend my colleagues and our supporters for persisting along the way, growing the program bit by bit until what has become a well-recognized program and a special statement of what the university cares about. Special recognition to Professor Kalyani Mehta, who started the program, and to Associate Professor Carol Ma, who followed on and expanded it. SUSS has organized many educational and experiential seminars for the community, especially during the pandemic. We had a successful partnership with NLP in organizing a month-long event last year in October. And today, it will be a whole day event that we can envision meaningful aging together. And we are very grateful to NLP for this partnership. In this symposium, the importance of promoting lifelong learning and studying about aging topics will be emphasized, with interesting topics like the future of care, specializations in gerontology, senior living options around the globe, the role of reminiscence in dementia care, promotion of golden entrepreneurship, and physical health. The format of the seminars will also be engaging, with presentations and interactive workshops, experiential learning, for example, virtual tours to different countries to explore their age-related facilities. I'd like now to express our appreciation to our gerontology faculty members, alumni, and students who work together to create a host of outreach and engagement programs and are actively involved as organizers, moderators, and speakers for this joint event. It's hard to believe that we have about 300 gerontology alumni. Our students and alumni, well, they are the tops in their commitment to our program. Thank you also to the various partners from Singapore and overseas who joined in to share their knowledge and experiences with our participants. Thank you to our faithful supporters and benefactors. Special thanks to the Social Resilience Enhancement Fund for supporting this event, which is part of the sponsorship will support our seniors to produce a post-video recording of today's event, which all of you can access on SUSS Gerontology YouTube channel. And thank you to the various people who are working behind the scenes to run this particular program today. And one final thought. We all cannot escape growing old if we live long enough. But we can all work together to enable old age to be a pleasant, meaningful, active, and healthy experience, and even something to look forward to. Towards this end, SUSS will continue to work with our partners to promote social good and gerontology education in Singapore. Well, I've said enough. Let us enjoy today's proceedings and use the 4 E's to make the most of what's coming up. Let's envision, embrace, enable, and empower aging together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Chong. May I now invite NLB's Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Ng Chuk Pong, please.
Professor Chong Hee Kiat, President of SUSS, Ms. Koh Huai Lin, Chairperson of SUSS Gerontology Students and Alumni Committee, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, everyone, and welcome to EnvisAGE 2021, Envisioning Meaningful Aging Together. This is our second joint seminar with a team from SUSS's Gerontology program, and it has been, as you heard from Hee Kiat, a very meaningful and rich collaboration. We each bring our unique value proposition, NLB with our extensive reach to seniors and our experience in supporting their reading and learning, and SUSS with your research into how seniors learn and the best methods to support their learning, as well as your professional network of educators and researchers. Globally, the proportion of people aged 65 and above is growing faster than any other age group, which increases the importance of this demographic group. As a result, the range of products and services targeted specifically at seniors has expanded significantly to enable seniors to live healthily and age actively. There is also an eastward shift in the geographical distribution of this demographic group. According to the projections of the United Nations, by 2050, the majority of people aged 65 and above will be in Asia. Closer to home, our life expectancy in Singapore is among the highest in the world already, right? Standing at slightly below 84 and continuing to inch up every year. I know I'm preaching to the converted, but these are mega trends that will profoundly change societies. And we hope that events like EnvisAGE 2021 can serve as a platform to share views and explore new opportunities to empower our seniors as they age meaningfully and gracefully. With COVID-19, digital has now become an integral part of everyone's life. This is why the concerted efforts by the government and the community to reach out to and support seniors who do not have digital devices and are not familiar with using them are so important. We need to make sure that no senior is left behind in the digital age. For NLB, we've worked with IMDA, the Infocom Media Development Authority, to set up SG digital offices across all our public libraries and deploy digital ambassadors to provide personalized one-on-one assistance on digital queries for seniors. We also introduce library learning journeys to help seniors access our digital library services. There is now an extensive suite of support to help equip seniors with digital skills and for them to gain confidence in using digital tools in their everyday lives, whether it's to perform transactions or facilitate their learning, employment, or entertainment. So far, we've assisted more than 31,000 seniors, and we hope to do more on this front. For our programs, we've similarly pivoted to delivering many of them over digital platforms. Since the circuit breaker in April last year, NLB has reached out to more than 10,000 seniors and organized more than 230 online programs targeted specifically at them. Many of you in the audience have similarly contributed to the widening array of online learning opportunities for seniors that are now made available by different organizations. There's much to learn from each other in order to enhance the digital learning experience for seniors. Notably, the EnvisAGE 2021 organizing team has included some exciting elements in the program, such as video tours of seniors living concepts and options in Singapore and other countries, including in the US, China, and Malaysia, a program about immersive virtual reality travel experience, right? And interactions with distinguished grandfluencers, passionate seniors with their own unique expertise and experience, which complement the perspectives shared by professional gerontologists. But it's not all about digital today. And the topics that will be covered include physical and mental well-being enhancements, reminiscence therapy, and the entrepreneurial spirit in seniors. We are especially honored to have grandfluencers who promote causes they believe in, such as the entrepreneurial couple that we will hear from in the morning, Mr. Richard Koh and Madam Ong Bien, who started their online coffee business, as well as Team Strong Silvers, a group of enthusiasts who maintain excellent health through comprehensive exercise and strength training. They truly represent the indomitable drive and passion seniors can have as they thrive in their later years. With so much to look forward to today, I wish all of you a fruitful and enriching session ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ng. May I now invite SGSAC Chairperson, Ms. Kaur, to share her opening remarks with us, please.
Thank you, Faiza. Good morning to Prof. Cheong Hee Kiat, President of Singapore University of Social Sciences, Mr. Ng Che Pong, CEO of National Library Board, and everyone over Zoom. Thank you all for joining the EnvisAGE 2021 Envisioning Meaningful Aging together. I am Huai Lin, the Chairperson of SUSS Gerontology Students and Alumni Committee. I feel honored and privileged to be the keynote speaker this morning. I want to share with you my journey as a gerontology student and alumni. I am an engineer by training. It all started when I accompanied my husband to SUSS Open House 2018 to look for a part-time counseling course for him. So while he was attending the counseling talk, I wandered around and entered into a room where Professor Kalyani Mehta was sharing about gerontology. I applied to the master program that evening when I got home. So my family asked me, why do I sign up for this master program? It has no obvious link to my profession, and it will take away 2 years of my weekends. I must admit, I was not sure in the beginning, but I know I'm going to grow old, and so are my family members. I am an engineer that designs solutions for people, and my customer will grow old too, and my solutions may not be age-friendly. I look around the community that I live in, and I saw 2 groups of elderly. One that is active engaging with the community with healthy social circle, and another group that is lonely and may not have family members with them. Back then, I was the leader of my company's corporate social responsibility program. So I met elderly who struggle with financial problems and living with poor health, who cursed his long life expectancy. He lost the meaning of life. All this brought me to the aha moment that I need to know more about aging. I have to study gerontology in SUSS. So gerontology is a multidisciplinary focus study. It's not just about the person's bio, psycho, social, and spiritual needs as he moves from one stage of his life to another. The study also covers his relationship with his family members who care for him in good and ill time. The communities that he interacts with that provide him the social support throughout his lifespan. The living environment that allows him to age independently and gracefully. The technology that enhances life, and the policies of the country he lives in that allows him to have comfortable retirement, accessible and affordable healthcare. The program also trains leaders in elder care sector and entrepreneurs that launch businesses in the silver industry. So with the knowledge that I acquired from this course, the exchanges that I had with my classmates, the experiential learning through field trips, I can now apply the knowledge to my job to design technology solutions that protect and help older adults heal, ease their caregivers, and bridge the digital generation gap. Some of my classmates and alumni are now better leaders, doctors, and nurses in the senior care and healthcare sector that look into the holistic care of their patients, and not only his illness. Some are also policymakers that launch nationwide programs that ensure continuity of care in the community and active aging initiatives. We also have alumni from the media that produces documentaries about dementia patients and their caregivers. So these are the various impacts that I think the course has brought to the society, where we train a lot of professionals who now understand aging and how do we address the problem. In fact, in today's symposium is the result of strong collaboration and teamwork among our students, alumni, faculty members of SUSS, and our partner, National Library Board. We bring together the best experts around the world to discuss and explore a vision of aging that is enabling, empowering, fulfilling, and meaningful. I want to show you a video that shows the positive contributions that the students and alumni of SUSS Gerontology bring to the society. SUSS Gerontology program was the brainchild of Professor Kalyani Mehta 11 years ago, and we will not be here today if not because of her foresight. So first, I want to thank you, Professor Kalyani Mehta. So let us watch the video. I will share my screen.
It is very heartwarming for me to witness the 10th anniversary celebration of this pioneering program. When it was launched in 2011, we had much publicity because it was the first gerontology program at tertiary level in Singapore. We were fortunate to have the support of Mr. Henry Lim, who donated the Alice Lim Memorial Fund sponsorship in memory of his dear wife. The typical classroom environment was multi-generational, multiracial, and multidisciplinary. The dynamic debates and exchange of peer learning took place in a healthy and fertile milieu. Our overseas study trips were to Hong Kong, Okinawa, Japan, Melbourne, and Taiwan. Students bonded very closely during these trips, and the alumni projects, as well as the Geront Engage ideas sprouted from our lively bus trips. This is one of the distinguishing features of the SUSS Gerontology program. As I look back on this 10-year journey and witness a total of about 300 alumni, I realize that my dream has really come true. We can be proud of our students and alumni who have put together this wonderful video that will be their legacy.
Happy birthday, SUSS Gerontology program. My name is Carol, the head of the Gerontology program. I will try to create more quality program for our students and alumni. I'm sure they will continue to bring positive impact on our senior and the society. Throughout the 10 years development, many of you have contributed in significant ways. We would not have been able to make such progress without your support, from offering scholarship and useful advice, helping to organize activities, connecting us to various organizations. Therefore, I want to take this opportunity to express our most sincere appreciations to all of you. I was in Singapore 10 years ago to teach the first cohort, and I can't believe that now I am heading the program and organizing its 10 years celebrations. The stellar development of this program in the increased number of students, its expansion of international network, introduction of the latest social innovation and technology for seniors are all impressive. Of course, we will continue to strengthen our applied learning, research, community engagement with all our partners. Again, it is indeed my honor to succeed our founder, Professor Kellyanne Matter's role in 2019. I will continue to build on this outstanding legacy and groom talent for the society. Once again, thank you for all your support. Happy birthday, our Gerontology program.
Thank you.
So thank you, Ms. Kaur, for sharing your story and for sharing that heartwarming video too. I'm sure I'm not the only one today who's wondering, where do I sign up for the Gerontology program? Let me know now. Okay, but don't worry, we'll share it with you, the information, later on at the end of the program. Interestingly, I also noticed that we got a glimpse of our moderator, Associate Professor Carol Ma, in that video. So now let us meet the lady herself, who will kickstart the first panel discussion this morning. So wherever you are, whether you're tuning in via Zoom or whether you're tuning in via Facebook, let's join our hands together and give a warm virtual welcome to Professor Carol Ma.
Thank you, Faisal. So it is my honor to host the first sessions. So envisions the future of aged care. Population aging is a global issue. Many countries would need both courage and foresight to develop policy and practice to ensure quality of life for their people. With the world's aging populations expected to double to 2 billion by 2050, are we prepared to address the needs and concern of an aging society? Do we have confidence to age gracefully? If you have a choice, do you prefer to age at home, age at a residential care home, or age at a senior community care housing? Today, it gives us a chance to envision, yes, envision the future of aged care together. Like the theme of our events today, let's envisioning the meaningful aging together. We are very honored to invite esteemed local and international speakers to share with us their views on the future of aged care. So we have 4 speakers today. So the first one is Dr. Frick Lepper, and he is the chairman of the European Center for Research and Education in Aging Services in Belgium. He will talk about a European vision on the future of long-term care for older people. Then the second one, we have Professor Du Pan, Vice President, Director and Professor of the Institute of Gerontology, Beijing Renmin University. He will talk about future of aged care in China. Professor Du Pan is also a pioneer in promote gerontological study in China. I want to tell you, Beijing Renmin University is the first university to offer gerontology program in China. Same as SUSS, we are also the first university offer gerontology program in Singapore. And then the next one, we have Mr. Tan Quat Chat, CEO of Agency for Integrated Care in Singapore. For those who are in the sector, we know that Casey is a very passionate person, and he has been doing a lot for the elder care sector. Today, he will talk about the future of community care. The last one is a very special speaker. He is actually my mentor. Yeah, and I always see him as a role model. He has a different roles. He is a senior, 72 years old. He is also a retiree, a father, a grandpa. And the amazing thing is he was the alumni chairman of the SUSS Gerontology program, Mr. George Teo. As a senior, as a gerontologist, he will share his dreams about future of aged care. Each speaker will have around 15 minutes. So after the presentation, we will open for Q&A session. For those, if you have any questions, then you can also type your questions in the Q&A box. So let me first introduce Dr. Frick Lepper. I know Frick is also working closely with European Aging Network, which is an umbrella organization with over 10,000 elder care providers in Europe. He is the lead author of a report about the future of long-term care in Europe. I want to specifically say thank you to Frick's support. Currently, he is in Netherlands. Yes, it's in Netherlands. It means 6 hours behind Singapore. Now his time should be 3:30 a.m. He wake up very early for our symposium today. Frick, Thank you very much for your time. You can start your talk.
Thank you, Carol. To be honest, I feel a little bit old on this time of of the day, but I'm very happy to join this conference. Also, I'm very honored to be here. Yeah, you told me it's the European vision on the future of long-term care, and the question is, with all the developments that we see in the world, if we are in an era of change or a change of era. And that was also the reason that we said, well, listen, we have to, and you already told me about the, let me see, something is going wrong over here. There it goes. That the European Aging Network, which is the umbrella organization for aged care in Europe, and ECREAS, which is the knowledge center, yeah, we started this project about the future of aged care. Well, I can tell a lot about, but we do some certification, we do training programs also in China, to be honest. And we are part of the Global Aging Network, which has ties with the UN, especially in this decade, which is the decade of healthy aging. The future actually is now, and that's what we said. So what I like to share with you today is first maybe the short and medium vision up till 2030. And then I want to share with you my personal opinion about what's going on the long term after 2030, because I think that we are on the brink of a big transformation that for aged care. We started that working group with providers and experts from different European countries, about 6 countries, and we went back to the foundation of aged care. And we said, well, let's develop a vision on what we call the long-term care for older people. And our strategy was actually to support and to influence the governments in developing the policy that they have towards the care of older people. And we said, well, actually, it is not only a sectoral issue, but it's a society issue. So we took it more in a broader perspective. And we had some observations. We said that actually, if you are looking around the world, and some of the speakers before already said that, we are facing an aging society. And if we look at the policies of governments, we draw the conclusion that the governments are in denial about the social crisis, because actually it is a social crisis caused by an aging society. And we see that a lot of policies are only aiming towards costs of care and the provision of nursing homes. And sometimes they forget that people want to age in place. And most of the governments, especially in Europe, are more drawn into the healthcare system and the social care system and try to develop policies from there. And we said we have to look at broader. We also said we were also very self-reflective and said the business of aged care is failing to play a positive and constructive part in addressing all the needs of older people. And we are talking about resident-centered care or even person-centered care. But actually, if you look very closely, we are a push market where providers are having a supply for the needs of older people. But the question is how person-centered is the care and the service that we provide. And what we see is that the aged care sector continues to relax in what we call the comfort zone of government support. As you know, a lot of countries have a system in place that pays a lot for aged care and to the aged care providers. And we see that in this comfort zone is actually the innovation there's a lack of innovation because the providers think, well, we get the money anyhow from our government. And you see that the Western model of aged care, especially for the Northern European countries in aged care, is always seen as a landmark of good aged care practice. But we forget one thing, and that is the effects of the institutionalization and the system on the being of older people and the financial sustainability of this system. So we started with the working group with a vision. And the other observations that we got is that society overall faces threats to social cohesion. We see an increase of loneliness of a lot of people aging in their own home. So we also question about aging in place. Is that always the best solution? And the last conclusion that we had is that the medical approach is still big time in aged care. So we started with the vision and said the vision is that aging is not a disease, but it's a stage of life. And that was actually the foundation of our report. And that says a lot of things, because if you say it's a stage of life, you make it more broad, you make it out of the care provision perspective, but and you take it to the life perspective. So the first paradigm shift is that we said is we know we have to go from quality of care to quality of life. We see a lot of policies are actually aiming towards standards of care, protocols, procedures, but that is all process, while quality of life is actually the outcome. What's the effect of what we do with care and services that we provide to people? And that is something that we have to change our focus more to quality of life without denial of the importance of care. We say we also have to go to more to prevention, inclusion, so people will not isolate it in their own homes. We have to go from institutional to home, and we have to redefine home. Sometimes we say, well, listen, everybody is living in their neighborhood and have to, when we call about aging in place, that they have to stay at their home. But a lot of people become lonely. So we said we have to innovate also in the housing. And we have, maybe in Asia, I see it more, and also in the US, that retirement communities where we have clustered housing with services. And that is something that we still lacking, especially in Northern Europe. It's not the exclusive domain of the professional. We have to go to co-creation with family. We now have a system that excludes actually the family. And as I said, the medical focus needs to go to a social and a service approach. And because we have a government supported system that goes from the paradigm one size fits all, we have to go to the lifestyle focus to make it more client-centered. We also need to go from a system dominance to a client focus. You see what I say, it's a client focus or the focus of the people themselves. Our system is actually generating a daily routine for people instead of that the daily routine of the people is driving the system. So we have to do it the other way. Technology is also coming in, and we are facing a staff shortage. But technology can be mingled with staff so that the staff density can decrease in aged care. Critical performance indicators, we have lists full of indicators and we forget to our common sense. I'm a pilot, a private pilot, and one of the first things that I learned is to look and to feel instead of looking at the indicators, because that are measuring what has happened. It's not what's coming up. So how can we bring this into practice? By the strategy of organization, we said we have to go to diversification of functions. We need to have network organizations and service quality principles. That means also that our providers have to mingle with social organizations working in the community. And I know that here in Singapore, the community care is key. And that is something that we have to develop more and more. Structure will be geographical entities. We have more to root in the surrounding area instead of a nice nursing home in the woods. And we have to create separate healthcare units, because when I stay at home and live at home and I have a health problem, then I call in the doctor. But if I am in a care home or a nursing home, the doctor is always around. And we have regulations sometimes that says that in some countries that the doctor has to check you twice a day. And we say, well, that's what we call medicalization. So it's about self-determination and it's about quality of life. And it's about living, and family and friends are part of that care context for individuals. So on the long term, I think that we will have a big leap forward by a change of the society. We see now the first signs of the society, what I call society 4.0, where we see that the influence of artificial intelligence and blockchain technology, where that will lead to a transformation of aged care, and we will enter an information era to what we call a super smart society. If we look at the new world, we already see that, for instance, Amazon and the Whole Foods market, Health Corners, which is a supermarket in the US, are working together. They are merging together. And there's a nurse specialist present for basic diagnostics. So in the neighborhoods, you will have closely to where you live, there is someone who can take care of you. And the medication logistics will come via Amazon. So that means that the care and support and healthcare is not anymore an exclusive domain of the current operators. We have tech companies like Apple, who have the big health databases. As you know, that iPhone, but also other phones and Fitbits and everything, all those gadgets are collecting health data. And they can profile, make profiles based on big data analysis combined with predictions. So that means with the artificial intelligence and the blockchain, we get a lot of things that we can get together. We get also a lot of knowledge. But one thing that that we are forgetting is that also the influence of technology on the labor market. We are currently have a lot of discussions about staff shortage. And what we already see in Japan is that a lot of people are laid off because of technology. I still have 4 seconds. It's what I see over here on my screen. So Carol, give me another 10 seconds so I can finish this. Because we think that in all these stages of development is that by the use of robots and artificial intelligence, now a lot of industrial workers are laid off because they lose their jobs because robots are taking over. And like I said, the big data analysis leads also to profiling on all aspects of people, and including also the healthcare. And we are facing after 2030, in my opinion, a second stage that will lead artificial intelligence and blockchain technology will lead to a loss of jobs in what I call the white collar workforce, now the administrative people, which also leads to the loss of the middleman position in transactional processes, like banks who check the legality of payments, like PayPal, but actually also our operators are also a middleman between the one who needs care and support and the professional. And that will change. So there will more potential staff available, but we have to make the care sector attractive. We have to make the sector more accessible for people to work. So we have also need some lower qualifications for carers, because my personal opinion is in Europe we need a 3-year training for care assistants, and we think that's a barrier for people to work in there. And the position of professional provider organizations is on stake. We think that, like I said before, the care and service is not solely the exclusive domain for our the current providers, and it will more diffuse because payment processes become decentralized by blockchain. So every individual with right qualifications can do it, and that will be checked by that blockchain system. Also, the quality management, and because it's more integrated into neighborhoods, and it's not the exclusive domain for the professionals, we think that the empowerment and engagement by elderly in the family will get a boost. And at ECREAS, we are having a research proposal to see this second step, to research the second step. I realized that I moved from up to down, from left to right. So I gave you a lot of information. So hopefully it lands a little bit, and that all in 15 minutes. So how will it go? Time will tell. And I want to thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dick, for your wonderful insights. Yeah, let's remember aging is not a disease, but a stage of life. Yeah, we need many stakeholders to work together to create quality of life for our seniors. So we need to train more people to work together. So let's travel from Europe to Asia. So as we know, China's census, so the population was 1.41 billion people in 2020, marking the slowest growth rate since the 1950s. It has also announced that it will allow couples to have up to 3 children. With all this, what's the future of aged care plan in China? Let me invite Professor Du Pan, Vice President, Beijing Renmin University, to talk about the future of aged care plan in China. Professor Du Pan, your time.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you.
I just try to share the screen.
Okay, thank you. So while Professor Du Pan is sharing the screen, I also want to tell you he is actually also very passionate in elder care. He's been doing a lot, for the sector in China. So your time, Professor Du Pan.
Hi, thank you thank you, the chair. I will present on the future of aged care in China. About 4 parts of my presentation: the situation of aging in China, and the status and the practices of aged care, and how is the national plan for the next 5 years. And the last is the future vision for aged care. If we look at the latest census data released just 1 month ago, by the end of last year in China, we have more than 264 million old persons already, and it's projected to be doubled by 2050. That's around 500 million by that time. If we define the old age as 65 and over, currently it's 191 million, and it's also will be doubled by 2050. So that's the projection by my latest publication on the Journal of Renmin University. For the aged society, if we define that we have a 14% 65 and over, so we project to have the 14% by the end of this year. That means to enter the aged society. That's the latest 3 censuses in the past 2 decades. We can see both the number of the older persons and the proportion of the aged persons have been increasing rapidly in the last 2 decades. On the other perspective, China tried to promote healthy aging, to not just for the longer life expectancy. Now it's about 77 years old, but to Eastern China region like Shanghai, Beijing, Zhejiang province, all above 82, 83 years old already. Although that's for the general figures, it's a huge number and quite rapid population aging speed. But we have a 31 provincial provinces or municipalities. We can see from the map, in fact, some areas in northeastern China and also central China, they have the highest percentage of old persons, because these 2 regions from northeastern China and also from Sichuan, Chongqing provinces and municipalities, they have a large number of migrants flow to the eastern coastal areas, caused more than about 24% of the old persons in these 2 regions. That's at the same time, we have a huge urban and rural inversion of the aging population. That means in rural areas, it's 8 points, 8 percentages higher than urban areas for population aging. So for the first time last year, China has more old persons living in urban areas, about 54% urban old persons, and 46% rural old persons. That's the next step for aged care. We will have a better opportunity to narrow the gap between the urban and the rural. The second part is the practices of aged care in China. Social aged care services system in urban was basically established in the last 10 years. But still we have a huge difference between rural and urban areas. For the cities, the government policies support the home care. It's quite clear, try to strengthen the family support ability to provide home care. At the same time, they can get more social services at home. And another form is the community care. Every community center, they should have some beds for the old care at the community. And institutional care, now more than 8 million beds established already for the institutional care. But the quality will be the next step, next priority. For social aged care service system in rural is still in the initial stage because we need to reform the rural nursing homes to provide more services for the rural old persons. At the same time, a new form of services, we call that mutual aid services for the aged. That means some younger older persons, they help the oldest old or those disabled old persons in the villages. That's from the central government and the provincial policies. They strongly support this kind of services within the villages or within the rural communities. And another priority is for aged care is the integration of medical services and aged care. We call that 医养结合 in Chinese. Pilot project launched in 2016 takes 3 main forms: the hospital, a nursing home, reconstruction into a nursing home. That's one form. And the second is the nursing home, they can sign up with the hospital to get the services immediately, directly. And the third is the family. They at every household, every family, they can sign up with a family doctor, with a GP to get primary services at the home. The pilot project of long-term care insurance also developing rapidly. 5 years ago, the first pilot project, including 15 cities, and last year, the pilot expanded to 49 cities. From the national plan for the next 5 years, clearly to state by the end of 2025, aim to have a national network for the long-term care insurance and service. The overall reimbursement level is about 70% for the long-term care. Establishment of independent long-term care insurance is the national aim for the next 5 years. That means after these 49 cities pilot, we can have a national model to have the insurance and the service system in every province. At the same time, encourage enterprises to enter the field of aged care services. The policies to enable the private nursing homes receive subsidies by the number of beds and also by the services they provided. That's the current practices, but still the key challenges ahead. One is the aged care in rural. The population 60 and over account for almost 24% in rural areas, and in urban areas, because of the young migrants, it's only about 15.8%. So about 8 percentages difference. And also the floating population is causing the empty villages, because young people and their children, they are now living more and more in the urban areas, so left behind their old parents. But for the next 2 decades or 3 decades, how to fill up this gap of services for the rural elderly. The third is care in family. The government policy is to strengthen the family function or ability to support, to care the elderly at home. But the average size of household was 2.6 persons in 2020. It's a 0.48, almost half person less than 2010. So it's decreasing the family size. The last is the care resources. We are still lack of the aged care workers, and also financial sustainability. I just read the newspaper this morning. Almost more than 100 million people already joined the long-term care insurance, but currently only about 208,000 recipients of the services. But for long run, huge number of old persons, they will need financial reimbursement from the long-term care insurance. So that's the financial challenges for the long-term care insurance system. And then the service quality and for whole China, the next 5 years, try to aim to have a better quality of development, and for service quality is also a priority. How to regulate the services, because so many private service providers in the markets, how to fill the gap between the care resources and the needs. So these are the 4 key challenges ahead. The third part, I will introduce the national plan, just released earlier this year, to have by the national plan, clearly by the end of next year, every street, that means the local community committees, strive to have at least one community-aged service institution. And then at the same time, half of the aged care, so nursing homes or the beds for aged care should not be less than 50% for the disabled old persons who have ADR problems. They need long-term care. So that's very strict aim for next year. And by 2025, to have at least 55% for aged care beds. And the community daycare centers need to cover 90% communities. And by 2025, the participation rate of basic old age insurance reach 95%. So that's the national plan for from 2021 to 2025. On the other side, for professionals, for the staff, by 2022, 10,000 nursing home directors, 10,000, 100,000 full-time and part-time elderly social workers, and 2 million nursing assistants will have been trained by 2022. That's from the part of the national plan. The new features of aged population in China, in fact, is changing rapidly. I just highlight some points. Higher level of education of the old people. Currently in China, we have more than 220 million population. They have a university background. By 2025, in fact, more than 880 million older people, they will have a university education background. So that means the average educational level of Chinese elderly have been rising rapidly. So their needs for the services or aged care is changing. And the average income is higher than before. The average monthly income in cities is about 3,000. In rural areas, about so less than 500. But now we have a 50%, 54% old people, they are living in cities. That means more old people, they have a better economic status than before. And the changing consumption concept for the elderly, they want to have some resources. They have some channels or means to purchase some high quality services for aged care. And then the last part is pay more attention to self-fulfillment, not just we have some services, but how to participate in these kind of services and how to require what express what they really want and get the high quality of services. That's some new features of the aged population. So the last part, I will highlight some future development, future directions. Last year, China started to have the new national strategy to coordinate the state strategy in active response to population aging. That's very comprehensive national strategy. Now, currently, I'm leading a national project on how to implement this national strategy. But that's a fundamental change in China because for the first time in the past 20 years in aging society, China put the population aging on the top level of the national strategy. The second is how to realize the social governance modernization, not just with money. The China government, central government want to improve the services, but we need to reform the governance system because many duties are on the community levels. Even we talk about the integration of medical and social services, but how to realize that we need to restructure the government ministries to reallocate the responsibilities on the grassroots levels for the local governments. That's we call that social governance modernization. And then in that part, how to reform the administrative system to cope with the national national plan, and how to improve the quality of care, and how to narrow the gaps among various regions. That's the part of the government governance modernization. For rural parts, the national strategy is the rural revitalization. In fact, in Zhejiang province, Jiangsu province, we can see the very rapid rural development. Many old people, they rent a house. They want to move to the rural areas to enjoy their old age. That's a new direction and help the local, the rural communities to develop. Another development is promote aging in place. I think that's similar like in Singapore or some other Asian countries to support the aged care givers and home care. In fact, China is just changed the national policy for the birth. In fact, it's not just so simple to allow people to have 3 children, but how to encourage them. One part is for the, even they have more children, but for old persons, old parents, they need to support. Still, they bear the responsibilities. So how to promote aging in place, not just to have more children, but how to enable the family members to get the services, local services. That's the next priority, and improve the system for the integrated care and medical services. We studied about the Korean or Japanese systems for long-term care services. In fact, at the same time, they have the national plan. They integrated, they reformed the government agencies to put the aged services and health services or the promote the birth, encourage people to have more children. All of these functions, they are under one government ministry. But in China, we have very different ministries for medical services and the health ministry for nursing homes under the Civil Affairs Ministry. For nursing home constructions, is under the National Developmental Commission. So how to integrate the services, in fact, on the top level is how to coordinate the government agencies' responsibilities. And then for establishing the long-term care insurance system by 2025, we have different model. Now in 49 cities, they have totally different models to develop. So in the next 4 years, we will do more research on that, which part is the common interest of the future development for the national plan. The last is using the technology to support the care. In fact, this year, last year, because of the COVID-19, people have to use the internet to show the health status. That put the older persons in very difficult situation. So the government, the central government, the state council last October released the national policy to ask, to require every company or the ministries, when they have new policies, they must mainstream population aging in that policy to see how to use the internet to help the old people get better services. In fact, this year we already have one meeting on that with the topic of internet and old age care. Later this October, we will have another one to summarize in 1 year time what's the development and what's the challenges ahead. So the basic idea is to use the rapid developing technology to provide more accurate services, to have a more convenient services, and also cheaper, more economic services to the elderly. So we call that internet plus aged care, or big data plus aged care. I just give one example before my conclude. In fact, we have an app to call that 饿了吗? Are you hungry? In fact, when I talked with the app owner, they can identify who are the old persons. Every day they have to depend on these kind of services to deliver the package of food to these old people. It's more accurate than provide meal service in the community, because for meal service at the community centers, the older people, they still need to come to the centers, or they need to come out of their buildings, and then they can get the service. But for the big data, they know who are the target of the old people and how to provide more accurate services to these old people. So that's a very hot topic in China. We also hope to have more studies and also chances to discuss about the experience in the near future. So that's my introduction about the current status of the aged care in China and the direction, the future, especially for the next 5 years. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Du Pan. Yeah, and thank you to share with us about the National Plan of Aged Care in China and its future vision. I think with the new features of the aging population in China, there are lots of challenges, but also opportunity in the aging sector. I think if we have a chance, hope that we can also visit you. Yeah, 2 years ago, we actually went to Beijing, and then Professor Du Pan hosted us to let our students and alumni to get to know more about the aged care in China. So from China, let's go back to Singapore. I know Casey, the CEO of Agency for Integrated Care, will share with us about the future of community care, how to empower Singaporeans to live and age well. This is a very important topic because many countries, they also want to know about this topic. Yeah, so let's hear more from Casey. Casey, your time.
Thank you so much, Carol. Really appreciate the earlier and very interesting sharing by Professor Tu as well as Dr. Lepre. I think, one reflection that I have listening to their presentation was the fact that, there are many commonalities in the challenges that we face in this important or critical area of aging, but also in terms of the vision that we foresee and the key pillars that we want to build. Actually, there are also many commonalities in terms of focusing on the quality of life for our seniors and enabling them to be able to age in place at home as far as possible. And at the end of it, also empowering them to be able to live and age well across all stages of life, particularly towards the end of our life. So, thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate all of you for being here, but also for allowing me to share a little bit more on our vision of community care and how we are working towards empowering our Singaporeans to be able to live well and age well at home and the communities where they are. And this is a journey that we're undertaking together with our partners, as well as our service providers and stakeholders. It is a journey that will take us quite some time, but important for us to set the end vision and the goals that we want for Singapore and Singaporeans, and for us to continually work towards it and to achieve, I think, at the end, the outcome that we like for Singaporeans. If I could, and I assume you can see my slides. I want to first introduce AIC, the Agency for Integrated Care that I'm from, and what actually we focus on. So the Agency for Integrated Care was formed in 2009. So we have been around for the last 12 years.
Can't see your slide.
PC, we cannot see your slide. Yeah.
Apologies. Let me get back again. Apologies, everybody. Give me just 1 minute. How's that?
Yep.
Is it good? Okay.
Okay, now, yeah.
Thank you so much. Apologies on that. So as I was saying, I wanted to first give a quick introduction to AIC, or Agency for Integrated Care. We are formed in 2009, and we are agency under the Ministry of Health. And our vision is really to help to build a vibrant care community in Singapore, enabling our people to live well and age gracefully. And we seek to do so with 2 key thrusts. And I'll talk a little bit more about how we're going to do this together with our partners and our supporters. One is empowering our seniors, our clients, as far as possible to live the life that they would, and to empower them to have choices and the quality of life that they would like to have. Secondly, is really focusing on transforming the care community. And that is also to achieve the outcomes and to help our seniors and clients to be able to live well and age well in the communities and at home. And we do so through, these following areas. Firstly, we connect with seniors in Singapore to understand their needs and help them to stay active. And this is achieved quite a bit, not just through our touch points, our centers, but also through our Silver Generation Office, our group of volunteers that help us to knock on the doors of our seniors at home, help to engage them, help them understand their needs, and also to match them up with services, support, and program. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. We also connect with caregivers to information and support, and also the loved ones' families where the needs actually arise. And we want to be the first stop where they come to if they're actually in need of support, information, and care and support services that's available across Singapore. We also connect people to care services and financial assistance, so that in the area of affordability and accessibility, we want to ensure as far as possible they are able to get the services, programs, and the support that they need, as far as possible. And lastly, as you can see, we also want to be able to work very closely with our partners, because this is not something the AIC alone or the Ministry of Health alone can actually achieve. In fact, we work with various partners, particularly our partners that are in the community care, of which in Singapore, there are more than 150 of them, really providing the full spectrum of services, program, and various sort of aspects of the care, support, and empowerment that we like to provide to our Singaporeans and the seniors out in the community. We've spoken quite a bit about this across the panel, and globally, I think we all acknowledge that in terms of the trends and the key mega challenges that we face, Aging is one of them. Of course, earlier when I showed this slide, it used to be climate change, the impact of technology and aging. I've added in the pandemic because, that's something that we've been facing, of course, in the past, but really, managing, grappling with over the past 1.5 years. We will overcome this current COVID-19 situation in Singapore and globally. But of course, going forward, I think that continues to be a key mega challenge that we need to be prepared and more ready for. And in Singapore, in the area of aging, our life expectancy is growing. So back in 2019, and that's already 2 years back, our life expectancy was 84.8 years. And that has been going up over time. I think testament in terms of the lifestyle, in terms of the support, in terms of the healthcare, in terms of the various aspects that help to keep us healthy. And in terms of also, if you look at those that have reached the age of 100, the centenarians, right? Back in 1990, when I look back, we have 50 of Singaporeans who are aged 100 and above. And as we, look at the numbers, back in 2019 again, we now have over 1,500 centenarians. And this, I think, just shows the trend that we are sort of dealing with, but also what we need to do really to support the trend of aging as well as seniors in Singapore, but more importantly, to keep them healthy, to live the life that they would. And the need will continue to grow, whether it's in the physical aspects, because frailty will grow with age, whether it's the mental health aspects, because that's very important. But we are concerned about the impact, for example, on dementia, which grows in propensity, as the age grows. And how do we also keep our seniors healthy and at home and not have them actually have to go to hospital, as far as we can. And in Singapore, I think in terms of the key challenges that we face, I've spoken quite a bit about the aging population. And by 2030, 1 in 4 of us will be above 65. But also, in terms of having to deal with the increasing impact of chronic condition, helping to actually manage this and have them live as healthy as possible at home. But at the same time, managing in terms of the slow workforce growth and also the sustainability of the healthcare system, for Singapore in the longer term. And so these are longer term trends that, we are sort of managing and planning ahead and making sure that our system is not just sustainable, but one that's able to support the quality of life and aspiration of seniors. If I can, we have spoken a lot, and I think it was mentioned earlier as well. We always, or we often talk about aging as a challenge, as a mega issue, right? As something that we really have to deal with as a society, as a nation. But really, aging, as rightly pointed out, is a stage of life that all of us go through. It can be and it should be, a positive force. And for us, it's about, and it applies to all of us, right? What are not just the needs that we have at the stage of life, but what are the aspirations of our seniors, and how do we best empower, enable, and help them achieve those aspirations? And to me, and later you will hear from Tim Strong-Silver, as mentioned as part of the program, truly quite inspirational in terms of what actually they aspire towards and can be role model for us. But to me, aspiration can be what we want to achieve, whether it's in terms of physical conditions, our family connection, and even going to perhaps Everest Base Camp. But it could be right down, and I think a lot of you will agree with me as well, right down to just living the life that we want with our loved ones, our family at home, and in the community where we are. Going to the market that we're familiar with every weekend or every day that we have been for the last 10, 20 years, having meals with people that we love, and just being able to contribute back or live the life that we would at a point in time. So, I want to highlight this because it's important. And in terms of our vision, then, to support the aspiration of our seniors, we want to be able to achieve it through 3, what we call end-to-end sort of focus. And I'll talk, a bit more about this in the subsequent slide. But these 3 key focus areas are what we feel will build together in terms of the overall community care ecosystem that can really help our seniors and empower them to age well at home in the communities. So in the first part is really about proactive outreach and focusing on preventive health, helping to keep our seniors healthy, living the life as far as possible. And if they do need the care and support and help, We want to be able to hold and help the seniors through a coordinated local community network of partners. And we feel that's the key leverage, because at the local community, where the partners have been working, knowing the environment, knowing the people there in the community, they'll be able to reach out and hold and help the seniors best. And at the end of it, it's also about how do we bring about the partners, together to be able to achieve this, and providing really for person-centered care. And this care need not be healthcare and shouldn't be. And it can include social care, but at the end of it, I again go back to the point about empowerment. And it's about providing what would be necessary to empower them to live the life that they would. Of course, we need to look at how do we, enable this ecosystem with shared data to enable care integration, as well as how do we assess the needs across so that we are able to help them truly as they age in their life stage. In the first part, if I can, highlight, I think, our efforts in terms of proactive outreach and engagement in Singapore. And this is where, AIC plays a role through our outreach arm called Silver Generation Office. And they, reach out to our seniors at home where they are. They communicate, benefits, policies, programs that are in the community to them, but more importantly, connect them where they actually would like to stay active, where they need care and support, and if they are at risk of being socially isolated, befriending services or programs. And what we want to do is to do so on a proactive basis. So rather than wait for them, to have to come to one of our centers, or if they fall ill or sick, to come to one of our healthcare institutions or the general practitioners, we want to be able to reach out to them, engage them while they're healthy and at home where they are, and age with them. And as the need changes, and we acknowledge that we would, when they actually grow older in age, we are then able to sense their needs and help them more proactively. And we do so through our 3,000 over volunteers, or what we call our Silver Generation Ambassadors. And during this COVID period in particular, they're really our heroes and heroines, being able to reach out, whether it's through physical visits where possible, if not through tele-engagement, using technology, using phones to reach out to them, sensing how our seniors are, where the needs are, again, proactively, hopefully being able to provide the support they need out there at home where they are. And in terms of the focus, we call it the ABCD now, right? Or supporting the seniors. We want to support them to keep well, through the active aging programs. We want to actually be able to help those who are lonely and maybe at risk of social isolation, to be able to get in touch with befrienders that are out there in the local communities, and to be able to receive the care and support if they are frail and the conditions that need to be managed, whether at home or at the centers that are near their homes. At the end, also, I think Chapong spoke about this, I think important to ensure inclusiveness in the digital sort of trends that we are moving towards as a society in Singapore. So a new sort of trust for us is also how do we also help our seniors to get more digitally ready, and also connect them with programs that are available out there through our Singapore digital office, as well as those, for example, available in our libraries and local community centers. So this is, of course, our distillation of what would be the key area of focus, and many needs actually arises, and even aspiration of how they want to contribute, for example, to meaningful causes as volunteers or continue working. And those are also what we want to wrap around in terms of supporting them together with our partners. And so this, outreach engagement are what, are the first part of what we call the touch strategy of, the overall approach towards caring for and empowering our seniors. And the touch is the first aspect, but we also have the whole and the care. And together we feel that's how we're able to empower our seniors and to help them to age in place. So the touch part, as I mentioned, through our proactive outreach and being able to engage and help them to stay healthy is what we want to do. And we want our active aging centers to be able to hold our seniors. I'll talk a little bit about that. And these are centers that we are working with our partners to actually put in place in the local communities where they are, so that in terms of proximity and where the seniors actually get access is a lot easier, it's a lot better. And the last part is this care that we work with our service provider to provide the care for our seniors. We are building what we call active aging centers or active aging care hubs together with the Ministry of Health. This was announced in the Committee of Supply debate by the government, by the Ministry of Health in March this year. What we are doing is we are working for partners currently operating our senior activity centers as well as senior care centers, and transforming them to form what we call active aging centers or active aging care hub. And they will be the centers and our partners out in the local community being able to provide active aging programs, defending programs, and care and support, a referral and connection to other partners within their vicinity. And we feel this will be the key community nodes that our seniors should be familiar with, and they will be able to reach out and help to hold the seniors actually in the local community around them. We have a target to build 220 of these centers in 4 years' time by 2024. And this year we are appointing 60 active aging centers across different parts of Singapore. So I think the end vision is in every local community in Singapore, there should be one active aging center or active aging care hub that will be able to hold and help the seniors around them. But that's not the only endpoint, because community node is only one of them. What they can provide, as I mentioned, are in active aging, befriending, basic referral information on care and support, right, to partners. What we want to do is also to overlay this with the communities of care, local community network of support. Because there are many partners and stakeholders and providers out there really providing the different aspects of care, whether it's social, whether it's health, whether it's work, right, volunteerism, whether it's environment, economy, so on and so forth. How do we bring these partners at the local communities together, anchoring on the needs or meeting the needs of the senior in their local community, having common goals, protocols, being able to work together when they come across a senior who may need help or who may want to actually contribute to certain areas. They're able to connect with each other, and you leveraging on the power of the network to be able to extend the holistic care and support and empowerment to the seniors out there. So this is what we are building, early stages in our journey, but EnvisAGE is what we would like to work towards as enable communities of care across Singapore at every single local community that we have. So early stages, as mentioned, we have some pilots going, because to build network, to bring partners together are not just a straightforward process, but we have a common vision and goal, and we are working very hard towards it. And this is not possible without our partners out there. And as mentioned, we have over 150 partners, service providers that we work with, who are the real frontline heroes that we have, particularly during this period, whether it's providing center-based care, home care out to those who need it at home or more bed-bound, and for those who may need more full-time care in the residential context. That's what actually they provide in terms of what we need out there in the communities. And if you look at the spectrum of needs, I think later on there will be a presentation on this. I just want to highlight. A lot of times, of course, we focus on what we need for those who are more frail. We want to now keep them healthy. It's also about providing the right environment for them to be independent, to age in place, stay healthy as far as possible. So I was really happy to see that the government has also moved to provide this new model to actually be able to facilitate assisted living or independent living for seniors as they age. This is what we call the community care apartments. You see this model actually in other countries as well, whether it's in terms of retirement village, assisted living facility, or independent living facility or communities. And in Singapore, I think this is the model, just but one of the models that we have. It is about going to where the seniors would like to live. It's about providing the support and care, and to also be able to evolve the support and care as they age, because the need does change as they grow older. So later on, there will be a sharing on this, and of course the vision as part of the overall ecosystem that we're building for our Singaporeans, our seniors. At the core of it, this is the vision, and together with our partners, we seek to build local communities of care, really to empower our seniors to live well, age well. If I could just perhaps end off, apologize for taking too much time. I will go back while we have a vision of what we want to build as an ecosystem. Let's go back to what our Singaporeans, ourselves, and what our seniors, and for us, our loved ones as well, would like to have in the future. And it's about, of course, the aspiration. It's about the quality of life that they will have. And to us, it's helping our seniors and our Singaporeans feel assured, feel that they are empowered to be able to live well, age well in the community. And I think that's actually what we are seeking to build for them. in now in the longer term. We want to, and I think they would like to be also actively engaged. They want to stay healthy. They want to be the loved ones with their families and continue to live the life as they would, even as they age. And this will be supported by our network of care partners and community, stakeholders out there, because it shouldn't be just driven by the government, or agencies. Actually, the power of the community needs to come in. And that's where we can governance the support of all our stakeholders and our partners to be able to achieve this end vision for Singaporeans, for our seniors. But thank you again for the time, to share our vision. Look forward to the questions and the sharing as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Casey. Yeah, I like the vision of local community of care across Singapore. So remember to count on us, because we can build a better societies together. So our last speaker, George, I want to share with you again. George actually is a role model of active aging. He studied gerontology in his 66 years old, and then became the chairman of Gerontology Alumni Committee from the year of 2016 to 2018. Until now, he is still very active in our program. Let me invite George to share with you about his dream. George, your time. Maybe you need to unmute yourself, George. You mute yourself. Okay.
Sorry, I'm going to share my screen. Only the host at the moment.
Yes.
Can you put me to allow me to share the screen?
Can you share the screen now?
I'm trying.
Okay, if not, I think our team also have a
okay, why don't you
support.
do that?
Yeah.
Let me.
Can you share? If not, then we can actually share from our side.
Okay, you do that, and I will.
Okay. Now, okay, then
okay.
Jeremy is helping to share the screen. Okay, Jeremy, we can see the screen. Yeah, George, can you see the screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay,
thank you very much. Thank you, Prof. Carol Ma, and for inviting me. And I just wanted to start the next slide, please, to share a few touch points from my experience. Just to add on to what Carol has said, my experience also that I have, my mother lived till she was 93, and she passed away 12 years ago. She was a very active person, and she's out of the house practically every day. And only in the last 10 years of her life that she went to coma 3 times. And yet, each time she got out of coma, she was back to normal, running around and visiting her friends. I also have a mother-in-law now who's 94 years old, staying with us, but she's a complete opposite. She's suffered from loneliness and all that. And what I'm saying really, the age is an attitude of the individual. And if you feel that you are very old, then you will continue to live your life as a very old person. For me personally, since the last 2 decades ago, I have taken the view that I am in the late summer of my life. I'm just entering to autumn. I don't even want to think about winter at all. I have spoken to a lot of my friends, my classmates, and I've discovered that almost all of us did not have any preparation for retirement. I mean, when we talk about retirement, we all talk about the financial side, whether we have enough money and so on. But quite honestly, it is not about that. It is about how do you want to live your life? How do you want to live your life? Because if you look at it properly, we retire from full-time work at the age of 65. With the expectation of average lifespan of say about 85, we have 20 more years to go. And 20 more years to go is not compared to 65, it's compared to 40 years of working life. So if you started working at 25, so you actually having another half of your life, of your working life, non-working. When you're working, you spend basically most of your time working and less of your time so-called enjoying and doing leisure work. But that has to be the reverse. The reverse is that you now have to find more things to do for yourself and try and keep the work part as a very small proportion of your daily life. And the work really is about looking after the house, cleaning and so on, all those mundane stuff. And so therefore, if you used to live in a big house and live in the country, it's about time you start planning that when you retire, you should actually shrink down your engagement in full-time work. The other touch point I want to talk about is that one must never stop dreaming. You can dream and all that, but you have to dream because look at things about what you want to do yourself, what you want to do. Some of the things you may think is impossible. For me, I always believe nothing is impossible. In my last 30 years or 40 years, I have done stupid things like going to do ballroom dancing, going to sing with a band, and all that. And nowadays, when I walk, for example, I walk almost every day, and I don't just take the short PCN. I will go all the way from looking for new places to go. And even not only looking for new places to go, you have to think about looking at something interesting along your routes. So my current passion is to look at black and white houses. And there are something like 10 to maybe 15 different places in Singapore that you can look at black and white houses. And they are really amazing, amazing structures. I came across this book, and there's this famous comedian called George Burns. And he said, when he was 90, he eventually died at about 104. He said, if I'd known I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of my body. And that, I think, is the most important thing. Next slide, please. So when we are looking about preparing for retirement, we got to think about how we take care of ourselves. We take care of ourselves, and I put it into 3 categories, 3H. One is the heal, meaning that you got to keep yourself moving all the time. Your body must move, because your body doesn't move, you're stagnant. Like even now, I'm talking to you, I'm standing up. I'm not even sitting down at my desk. And for the longest time, I have been working, standing up. You got to take care of your heart. And there are the 3 highs that you got to be very careful about. High blood pressure, high cholesterol, and high sugar. Avoid all this, manage all this. Then there is the control center, which is your head, which controls and develops your heart, your thoughts, your emotions, and of course, spirituality, which is something very individual. So this holistic overall application has to be taken in terms of body, mind, and spirit. Next slide, please. So I was saying that good health is found in motion. Running water does not stagnate. And that was told to us by an old Chinese physician. So you have to keep your body in motion, but don't forget, you also need rest. And during rest time, you can reflect, reminiscence, and always keep your mind active. Next slide, please. So the whole concept of active aging is that you have to work towards keeping yourself happy. Because without a happy, fulfilling life, actually long life is totally meaningless. And the 3 essential things for happiness is that you need to wake up every morning thinking that you have something to do, you have something to love, and you have something to hope for. Next slide, please. And whatever you do in terms of something you want to do and something to love is to make sure that you actually try and do something for other people. Don't keep thinking about yourself, because you keep thinking yourself, you tend to actually worry more. So life can deprive us of freedom, of health, of fortune, friends, and whatever. But actually life cannot take away from us our thoughts and our imagination. So we have to go out and interact with people, meet new people, meet your old friends, meet new people, not just in your age group, because I have, that's one of the reasons I went into the class of gerontology. Because when I went to class, I was at 66 years old. I studied until I graduated at 68. And I met with people in the class from 35 to 45. And when I first joined them, they thought, oh, this old man coming here to tell grandfather's story. But no, they found that I was able to share with them my experience, and I learned a great deal from them about their experiences. Next slide, please. At this juncture, I would like to just make some comments and observation of the first three speakers earlier. It is very enlightening for me to hear so much about the development in Europe. Europe, where is like 25 different countries the organization is representing, and the majority of them are developed countries. And then we move across to China, which is a rapidly developing country, so rapid that, before you can say the word rapid itself, it's already moved so many steps. And today, I think we're looking at some commonality between the two countries, Western countries and Asian environment, where differences, commonality is, of course, the growing aging population. Commonality, again, is a question of the worries that we have in each area that governments and the private sector have to attend to. And I think what is a feature there, in my view, is about the private sector having to be engaged more. But at the same time, government sector has been doing a lot it can. But unfortunately, my personal opinion, which I'm very passionate about, can we move back to the same slide earlier? We're not ready yet. Yeah, okay, sorry. And basically, the issue is that we have the question of government attending and focusing too much, overly focusing on the lower SES group of people. There is what I call a sandwich class, particularly in Singapore. In Singapore, you have 90% of the population living in government-sponsored apartments. There is a top maybe 3% who lives in landed property. And then in between, there are those who live in private apartments, who live in smaller landed properties. Many of them have been coming up from the middle class and upper middle class when they were working. And today, when they are seniors, they actually have assets, but they do not have an income, a regular income. So to convert that asset into money, so as to continue to live a better life, it is something where it is very difficult in Singapore, because whenever you want to access to either VWO sponsored or government sponsored facilities, there's this means testing. And more often than not, they will not pass the means testing. And then they actually have nowhere to go but to a very small cluster of commercial sector facilities. And that has been very, very difficult. So I would like to ask AIC if you could help to look into the area of maybe similar to the public hospitals, specialist clinic approach, that there are subsidized patients and there are full price patients. But at least they are eligible to go and access to these facilities.
Yeah, George,
so having said that,
yeah, George, I think you actually point out some of the challenges of some of the people here. So because of the time, do you mind if you use 1 or 2 minutes to talk about
okay, I will go there. And
yeah.
This is my dream plan. This is my dream plan in that covering basically the sandwich class I'm talking about. And of course, from a commercial perspective, you cannot do something for everybody. You got to focus in a small sector. And for me, my sector that I was focusing on in developing this plan, which I did for an Indonesian company, is bringing people, the elderly people who are what I call the baby boomer class, going back to college days, living in kind of hall of residence where they basically live individually, have their own private rooms, and then there are a lot of common rooms. And what I think they should do is to go and interact with the younger people. And so if we place this concept next to a college or university, and then we can have these elderly people interact with the younger people in common rooms and in sharing facilities. Next slide, please. So in order to have this interaction, then we have to create activities for these people. And the creation of activities is basically to reach out to their friends. So the key benefit of this is that if I were to run an operation like this, I would find each of my individual residents and help them to access all their old friends, their old colleagues, and bring them to come and visit them and come and share the premises. And that's where it would be very advantageous for the lifestyle of these elderly people. So with this, I like to end here. And there is the next slide, please. This is just for your information. It's something I read and I thought was very useful to share it with everybody else. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George. Yeah, I wish we could have more time to have more discussions, because I know that I have a lot of questions actually from the audience today. But you also know that we actually have another session at 11 a.m. and that's actually very important too, is talk about the specialization of the gerontology. Yeah, before I close this session, do you mind each speakers to use one sentence only to tell us what we should do to keep us healthy? Okay, so maybe start from Casey first.
Yeah, thanks so much, Carol. One sentence. Wow. I think we need to focus on the aspiration and really help to all our seniors to be able to live well, age well. Agree with George, it's not just about those at the lower SES as pointed out. In fact, in terms of efforts, actually extends across. I think we do have to do more in terms of accessibility as well as availability of options to be able to meet the aspirations of those seniors as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Casey. Then Frick. Can you have to mute yourself? You have to unmute yourself. Frick. Yeah.
Sorry. Develop yourself in all aspects of life.
Okay, that's good. Then George.
I think it's keep dreaming, keep active, and don't forget to keep your body moving.
Okay, that's good. I'm so sorry that Professor Du Pan actually has an urgent meeting now, so he cannot actually share with us. But because you know, we actually have a wonderful time this morning, and thank you very much to join this session. And then let me pass the time to NLB staff, Faisal.
Okay, so hi, thank you all the speakers. Thank you, Professor Carol Ma, for moderating the session. I think we had so many useful and inspiring insights. For me personally, I really like the idea of communities of care, and how all of us can somehow know that I mean, to nurture an aging population, there's so many players involved, and we all can also find our own ways, whether as individuals, as caregivers, or even as people who will one day, you know, become a senior ourselves. What kind of communities of care do we want to see? Okay. So to wrap up today's program, I'd just like to share with you firstly about the Nlp Mobile App. You know, learning doesn't only happen during the symposium itself. You can continue to learn more and see the kind of collection we offer at the library itself. You can download the Nlp Mobile App via the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. And the mobile app will allow you to access thousands of titles, both ebooks, audiobooks, as well as physical books. You can also use it to read SPHE newspapers, and you can also use it to learn new skills digitally, and as well as register for programs such as the ones we've organized today. So these are some books related to today's topic that I personally find very useful. So we have New Aging, Live Smarter Now to Live Better Forever, it's by Matthias Holwich, who is an architect. So he talks about how we can think about our living spaces and how it can help us to live better even as we age. And one of my favorite books is called Being Mortal by Atul Gawande. He talks about the limitation of medicine itself and how we need to start thinking about the quality of life as we prepare for the last lap of our lives, and how nursing homes and assisted living facilities are available. What kind of options are available for seniors. And last but not least, aging itself is a very personal and emotional experience as well. So I would recommend the book A Bittersweet Season, caring for our aging parents and ourselves, for caregivers who want to know what kind of options you should consider when caring for an elderly, and and hear firsthand the experience of the author herself, Jean Gross, as she takes care of her own elderly parent. If you'd like to learn more, so all the books that I recommended previously, they are all available as ebooks. So you can just download the Nlp Mobile apps, open the app and search for these the titles here, and you'll be able to borrow them immediately after this program. Our organizers have also prepared an EnvisAGE 2021 resource list. You can scan the QR code now to see other recommended titles, or you can also go to the link here, go.gov.sg/EnvisAGE resource list. Before you go, we would also like to ask you to give us your feedback on how you find today's session on the future of aged care. You can scan the QR code or drop us go to the website here, go.gov.sg/EnvisAGE 2021 survey. If you have any inquiries, you may also send it to us at 50plus@nlp.gov.sg. So that's all for us today. Thank you very much for joining us from 9 a.m. this morning. Our next talk is actually called The Value of Specialization in Gerontology for Holistic Care Amongst Aging Population. It's starting, I think, now at 11 a.m. So you can hop over if you've also registered for that program. These are the profile of the speakers. In case you were not able to register for the program, oh wait, sorry, this one is not on Facebook. So unfortunately, it's only for those who registered for the program, but I think we do have some other sessions that will be live streamed on the Public Library's Facebook page later, okay? So that's all for today. Hope to see you for the rest of the session throughout the rest of the day. Thank you very much, everyone.